Hello, welcome. This is the Nisha Jackson Show. She's Nisha Jackson. I'm Rusty Humphries, and welcome to the Nisha Jackson Show, where we talk about your life and your hormones and your food and your manifestations and anything else crazy that goes through Nisha's mind, and there's plenty of that. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing today.
Yeah, I saw you were in my old hometown of Seattle, and you were up at the Seafair. Did you see the hydroplane races?
It was so cool to see those boats coming by at 180, 200 miles an hour. That was nuts.
Yeah, you've never seen that before?
No, and I want to be on one of them.
Oh, yeah. Good luck with that. But those...
Yeah, I think there's only room for one person.
Yeah, hydroplane racing is a huge, huge deal in Seattle 1 week a year. And I mean, it takes over everything, and then everybody kind of forgets about it till the next year. But it's really cool for that 1 week.
The weather was amazing, and it was so cool to have all those boats lined up. We were jumping from boat to boat. It was so fun. And then the Blue Angels flew in, which was spectacular. I just want to keep saying, God bless America. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
No, it was so beautiful. It was beautiful. Everything was beautiful.
That's great. Well,
it's cool.
I'm glad you got to see that. That was one of my favorite times of the year when I grew up there.
Yeah, I've never been to Seafair in Seattle, but I can see why people go to Seafair and then want to move to Seattle, because it's like one of 3 days the whole year that the weather's nice.
Yeah, that's the bait. That's the bait. And then they get you.
That is the bait.
But I'll tell you, man, Seattle traffic and things have gotten crazy since I lived there, so I don't miss that. But
pretty bad.
All right, that has nothing to do with what we're talking. Some of it does. I got a question for you.
Yes.
So I'm looking at old pictures where I'm thinner, and I look at pictures of today where I'm not thinner, and I go, I was on testosterone in that picture. I was not on testosterone in that picture. And I can tell when I was on testosterone just by the way I looked. And obviously not on it right now. Does that really affect your weight, or is that just something that happened to me for men?
Well, I'm glad you asked this question, because I think there are so many men out there, Rusty, that are plagued with feeling like they're getting fat, like they're getting so much fat around the middle part of their body. And they don't necessarily feel like they're doing anything different. I mean, maybe they're drinking too much beer or something, but and of course their diet is probably not great, but testosterone plays a huge role in how men accumulate fat on their body. They can develop fat around their middle section. Their breasts can become bigger. It's called gynecomastia, and it's just not really what men want. But they don't. Not really. And so they often don't know the connection between testosterone and fat gain or weight gain with age. They don't really know the connection. And there's a really strong connection, because men with lower testosterone levels, and this can happen at a very early age too. I'm going to come back to that point I want to make about the age correlation with testosterone and why we're seeing it so much in younger men today. But often they don't realize that when testosterone levels drop at whatever age they drop at, that become, we call it insensitive to insulin. So you lose some sensitivity to insulin, and the glucose is more erratic. So we typically see higher glucose or blood sugar levels in men that have low testosterone.
Okay, would that be a precursor to diabetes? Because
yes,
okay,
yes. Mm-hmm. So low testosterone puts men at a higher risk for diabetes, because they are not only gaining weight, they're not eating well, because often there's lots of other things going on with low testosterone that makes them have more cravings, increased appetite, and elevated insulin levels. And unfortunately, with elevated insulin levels, insulin is a fat storage hormone. So when you make more insulin than you should, you're storing fat more around the middle part of your body than anywhere else on your body. So, and then unfortunately, this gets even worse, because when you're developing more fat around the middle part of your body, I keep saying the word fat, but I'm trying to really drive this point home.
Yes, it's all right. You're doing good. You're not offending me at all, okay? And I know you're talking right at me, so it's okay.
I'm trying not to look at you. No.
Sorry.
When you develop more fat around the middle part of your body, we call it visceral fat. So that's like stomach fat. When you develop more fat around the middle part of your body, those fat cells make estrogen. So then that further complicates the ratio between estrogen and testosterone for men. So their testosterone's dropping and then their estrogen's going up, because not only are they getting a little bit of what we call fatty liver, but they're storing too much fat around the middle part of their body, and their estrogen levels are going up. So
is this why I have a craving to watch The Notebook tonight?
I'm thinking that might have something to do with it. You might want to put a bra on and watch The Notebook.
Yeah, and then turn on Magic Mike XXL. No. It's not that bad for me.
No, it's not that bad. In fact, you look good, Rusty. Well, just need a little fine tuning. That's all.
Listen, I do need some fine tuning, but I did notice again, and I'll full disclosure, I used to live in the same area where Nisha was, and she was my doctor, and she did a great job, and then I moved away, and I don't want to say I've completely fallen apart, but it's close, and so she's really awesome, but I have fallen off my regimen, and I think a lot of guys have.
That's normal, and the thing is that I always tell men and women when they come in is, don't worry so much about, not taking your supplements or getting off of the hormones and gaining weight. The great thing about this is these are things you can change, right? You can get back on. And the really good thing about testosterone in men is they see results pretty quickly. So in regard to the fat gain, it's really something that we need to pay attention to, because when men gain fat, Rusty, they're putting themselves at risk for diabetes, which is a huge problem and leads to
too late for that here.
No, it leads to all sorts of long-term complications, but it also puts them at risk for heart disease, increased cardiovascular events. So we really want to get that back on track again. There is also a very strong correlation between low testosterone and inability to have optimal erections. I'm just going to get it out of my mouth right now for the whole world to hear. And when the testosterone level is low, and quit laughing. This is not funny.
I'm completely off the screen right now, so you keep going.
When testosterone levels are low and you're gaining weight, just having too much weight around your midsection is a problem for sexual functioning. It's a problem, because it's about blood flow. So when you have less blood flow, your sexual functioning is not going to be optimal. So all of these things are correlated. Everything is connected. So this is really important.
So there are different treatments for testosterone. Are we getting into that?
No.
We're going to save that.
No, I don't. We're not going to talk about the treatments. In fact, this is going to be a 2-part show.
Okay.
You don't follow instructions very well. This is a 2-part show. I'm kidding. And I want to talk about why men have low testosterone in this show. Like, what are the symptoms? Why are men experiencing low testosterone today? And then I want to do another show on the treatments of low testosterone and what are the other things you can do in addition to testosterone replacement? Or if you don't want to do testosterone replacement, what can you do to bring your levels up even naturally?
Okay, so let's start off with, what are the symptoms?
Right.
What is it that guys are experiencing when they're going, I wonder if they're onto something here for me?
Yes. So unfortunately today we're seeing men with very low levels of testosterone at earlier ages. And this is another one of those connect the dots that people aren't connecting. Even in medical offices, they're not connecting the dots. When you're under a lot of stress, so high stress in men can cause low testosterone. Because you make stress hormones. I'm going to simplify this, grossly simplify this. When you are under a significant amount of stress, now that could be stress from not sleeping well at night or not sleeping enough at night, because you need to be able to sleep to not only make hormones when you sleep, but you've got to be able to recover and restore yourself. So if you're not sleeping at night, you're stressing your body. If you eat too much sugar and flour and processed carbohydrates, foods that just don't make any sense to your body whatsoever, like your body does not recognize peanut M&Ms.
I was going to say, would you call that's man food?
Junk food. Yeah, man food, man cave food.
Pizza, beer, stuff like that. All that stuff that although steaks would probably be okay, but the potatoes aren't.
Steak would be okay. But when you're eating these foods, unfortunately, that's stressing your body because your body has to work overtime to try to detoxify all of that via the liver. So, and stress could also mean that you just have too much on your plate. There's a lot of work pressure, financial pressure, relationship pressure, kid pressure, all of those things. So when your body's stressed, you make stress hormones, but after a while, your adrenal glands, your stress glands say, you know what? I can't keep up with this dude. He's asking for too much. He's not taking care of himself. He's completely stressing the adrenals out. We can't keep up with his demands. And so we're going to down-regulate. We're going to make less, we'll call it adrenaline or cortisol. We're going to make less adrenaline or cortisol, and we're going to start robbing from testosterone to convert it to cortisol. So this is part of the process why we're seeing 30-year-old men in our office today with rock bottom testosterone levels, because not only is their lifestyle really not very healthy, but they're stressing themselves out. They're not taking care of themselves, and they have too much on their plate. And
what kind of things are you seeing? Is it guys that have been sitting around playing video games and they're stressed because of the video games? Is it work? Is it relationships?
Yes. It's all of those things I just listed. They're just overly stressed, either from a poor lifestyle or situational stress.
Okay.
So, and unfortunately now and this gets a little deep, but unfortunately now we're starting to see sort of the onslaught of when a woman is pregnant and a woman is overly stressed during pregnancy, she can give, I'm trying to simplify this, she can give the fetus what we call adrenal hypofunction. So a suboptimal ability for the fetus to be able to cope with stress.
Really?
So the baby actually comes into this world with an altered or a compromised ability to manage stress. So we're seeing it at day number 1. And then
wow,
we're seeing
is that what's happened to this generation? That maybe the women from 20, 30 years ago were overly stressed, but was it worse then?
Our diet is so poor today, and what we're seeing is that children are growing up on junk food. And so now we're starting to see a generation of kids that now are growing up and in their 20s and 30s that have not been brought up on good food and good lifestyle habits. So that's a big part of it. But also, if you just look at kids today, oh my God, Rusty, can we put them into any more activities and completely stress them out? So anyway,
it seems like there's two spectrums on the kids right now. It's a ton of activities or none at all. It doesn't seem like there's much in between.
I totally agree. Yeah. I totally 100% agree. But anyway, nevertheless, we're seeing 20 and 30-year-old men now with rock bottom testosterone levels because, again, I'm going to say it one more time, the stress glands are robbing from testosterone in order to convert it to the stress hormones that you need to manage your stress every day. Because here's the deal, Rusty, you will die without adrenal hormones. Without adrenaline and cortisol, you wouldn't survive. But you will survive without testosterone. You just feel like crap.
Okay.
So men do not die from low testosterone, but they would die from lack of stress hormones. So the body knows that. It's very sophisticated. It can convert hormones to life-saving hormones, so it knows how to do that. But that is why one of the reasons why we're seeing low testosterone in very young men. So back to the symptoms, because I want to go.
How do I know that I have low testosterone?
Right. So here's some of the symptoms of low testosterone for men. For sure, men, when they have low testosterone, one of the main presenting symptoms is they've lost their enthusiasm for life. They're irritable, they're grumpy, they're edgy, they don't feel creative anymore. They don't feel like going to work, going out at night, being with friends. They just feel like ugh, like what's the point? And a lot of times their significant others or their wives are bringing them into the office because they're like, I can't deal with this guy anymore. He's like, he doesn't want to do anything. So that's a really big thing because you have testosterone receptors all over your brain. So it has a lot to do with your zest for life and your enthusiasm and your vigor, right? So we see that a lot. And it's hard for men to put their finger on it because they're not usually like touchy-feely about all that, like coming in, because women could go on for hours in the office talking about that. But men, it's really hard for them to put their finger on it. And it's kind of an insidious onset, right? This is something that happens over a period of time. So it's not like you wake up one day and say, I don't feel very enthused, you know? So that's a big thing.
Yeah, I noticed that my girlfriend at the time would say, you know, why are you angry all the time? Or why are you doing this? And it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm fine. Leave me alone. I just don't, I just want to watch TV. There's good stuff on. Leave me alone. Or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And that would be an indicator.
Yes, anger outbursts could be a big indicator of low testosterone. Anger outbursts, like flying off the handle for no reason.
You'd think that having more testosterone would make you angrier, but you're saying less does.
Yeah, I think that's a myth that high testosterone is certainly like skyrocketing testosterone levels can make you snap too, but not optimal testosterone, because testosterone this is true for women also. So all you women listening, you could have low testosterone if you're flying off the handle, because testosterone, it gives you emotional strength and it gives you physical strength. So, and it gives you emotional strength to deal with stress and deal with problems. And so what happens is with low testosterone, you do fly off the handle because you're not managing your stress very well. You know, everything's like a big deal. So stress, anxiety, nervousness, a lot of men have a lot of anxiety. All of a sudden they can't focus. Their concentration and memory is in the tank. Mm-hmm. They have problems with, like we said, irritability. And this is very frustrating for men because they often, like I said earlier, they can't articulate this. They some of them can, but a lot of men can't. They think, oh, it's just because I didn't sleep very good last night. Or it's just because, you know, I'm getting older, or, you know, my dad was like this, or, you know, I have two older brothers and they're like this. It just runs in the family. And they can't quite say, no, this is unacceptable. I am not going to be 40, 50, 60 years old and feel like this. I don't want to spend half my life feeling like this. Men are usually not saying that. Somebody else is usually dragging them in. Okay. But that's why I think it's important, Rusty, that we educate men about these things, because they need to start connecting the dots and figuring out that this is not just about sex. This is not just about sexual function. This is not just about losing weight. Testosterone is life-saving for men, and we do not want men to spend 2/3 or half their life with low testosterone, because it's completely unhealthy for them to do so.
Okay, so let's take let's end the show now, right? You want to end the show now and then get to the next thing, or you're still in the middle of something?
No, I'm not even halfway through the symptoms of low testosterone.
Really? I thought that was it. I thought the boobs and the attitude, and that was it. There's more?
There's so much more.
Okay. Obviously, I'm low right now.
One of the big ones is exhaustion. Men feel exhausted when their testosterone's low.
Yeah.
And a really big one is two things. Waking up in the morning and not feeling rested, because when you have low testosterone as a man, you're probably not sleeping well.
I totally know what you're talking about right now. Totally. Like, I got up at like 9:30 this morning and went, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. What, 9:30? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly. But they sleep, but they don't feel rested because they're probably not getting into stage 4 sleep. They're not getting into the depth of sleep that they need for restoration. Okay. So that's a big one for men, is just feeling exhausted in the morning. But also another form of exhaustion or fatigue that often happens with men is that they hit the wall about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. They just really do not feel well.
You know, a lot of people say they're morning people or night people. I'm like awesome from like 12:30 to 1:30 if I eat lunch late. That's kind of my prime. Obviously, that's not good.
You have like 1 hour of prime a day?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I got 1 hour where I'm firing on all cylinders, and 23 hours,
Okay,
I'm guessing that's not good.
I'm going to need you to make another trip to Medford so we can get this thing under control.
Yeah, I know. I got to do this soon.
Yeah.
Soon.
Okay. So obviously loss of sex drive, low libido, poor sexual functioning, and that means a lot of different things. You don't have to have full-blown ED to have a correlation between low testosterone and sexual functioning. It could just be partial ED. It could be a little bit of ED. It could just be that it's not the way it used to be. So I'm not going to get super graphic about that on this podcast, but I think you know what I'm saying, is that sexual functioning is inhibited with low testosterone because it is about blood flow, and optimal testosterone actually improves blood flow. So the other thing that I see a lot with men in the office is they lose their, and this is, again, I don't want to generalize because men don't have all of these symptoms, but they lose their competitive edge. Like they just don't care. They don't care about being competitive. They don't care about trying to do anything but status quo. Like status quo is good. Like I'm good. And that's even more pronounced if it's a man that typically had not been that way in the past. So losing a competitive edge is another thing that we often see. It's just like their drive and their competitive edge is lost or diminished. The other thing is, which we see a lot, is increased body pain. So more pain in the body because low testosterone is very much correlated with inflammation. And inflammation obviously causes more body pain. The other interesting factoid about low testosterone is that when you have low testosterone, the brain's perception of pain is higher. Now I know that's an evil trick.
What are you saying, that we're bigger weenies when we have low testosterone? Okay.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But it's not your fault. That's what I'm saying. It's not your fault. Your perception of pain is higher than it actually is.
Okay.
But you also have increased inflammation, increased body pain, and increased muscle cramps. So a lot of times men have like muscle cramping, like Charlie horses in their legs.
Horrible ones in your legs in the middle of the night, and you just, right?
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. The other thing that we often see with men is that they lose muscle mass. So testosterone is vitally important for not only stabilizing the muscle mass that we have, but it also helps you build muscle mass. So these poor men that have low testosterone, they're in the gym gaining belly fat and they can't build muscle. They're like, geez, I've been lifting, I've got a trainer, and my body's getting worse, or it's staying the same, it's not changing at all. So that's another thing that we often see, is that they just can't build muscle like they used to.
Okay.
So I'm trying to create the picture that testosterone has to do with the entire body, the brain, memory, concentration, mood. We see significant depression and anxiety with men that have low testosterone. It affects the joints, the muscles, the digestive tract. Men have more digestive problems, esophageal reflux, problems with irritable bowel, problems with eating foods that even cause more problems with the gut.
Man, it almost sounds like this is the most important thing for men. Almost, I mean, it almost sounds like it's the key to everything. Is that true, or am I oversimplifying?
So men and women have the exact same hormones, but just in opposite ratios, or nearly opposite ratios.
Right.
So the hormones run everything in your body. And so if our lifestyle is such, Rusty, that we are running out of hormones at an earlier age than we ever have in the history of human beings, if that's true, which we know it's true, why would we expect us to be strong and vital and be filled with vigor and creativity and maintain an optimal weight and not be at risk for dementia, not be at risk for Alzheimer's, not be at risk for heart disease, not be at risk for osteoporosis with no hormones? You can't do it. It's not possible to live half your life without hormones and not feel terrible and be at risk for all those things, because our hormones are meant to protect us and keep us youthful.
Okay, so the question is can you fix this? Is this a fixable problem, or Once you run out of hormones, you're done.
Yes, it's fixable. And it's fixable if you have the right treatment program. And it's not just about popping a pill or giving yourself a shot. It's the whole program. And I think I'm really hoping that more and more medical providers will start looking at the research to show that testosterone is brain protective. Testosterone is heart protective. There are more testosterone receptors around a man's heart than any other place in the body.
Wow.
So the last thing we need is for somebody 30, 40, or 50 to be rock bottom on testosterone, because they're going to be at a higher risk for heart disease. So we don't want to have men just be thinking testosterone is just a sex hormone. It is a sex hormone because that's what it's called, but it really has an influence on the entire body. And that's kind of the message I wanted to drive home today was men need to wake up and pay attention to their symptoms and be real with their medical provider. Hopefully it's a medical provider that understands hormones, that understands how to interpret lab tests, that can sit down and have a conversation with them about here's where you're at and here's where you need to be, and then put the whole program together, which we're going to talk about in the next show, is what can you do if you, A, want to use testosterone, what are your options? B, how do you even get tested? And C, what are your alternatives for testosterone replacement therapy if you don't want to use testosterone? Like, what's the whole package? So I want to talk about that in the next show.
Okay, so that's coming up. So we now know the symptoms of testosterone, and now what do we do to fix it? That's coming up. If you'd like to contact her, find out more about Dr. Nisha Jackson, go to her website, nishajackson.com. Also, peakmedicalclinic.com. I always forget if there's an S or no S. There's
no S.
Peak, and there's
no
also
S.
Twitter at Peak Medical Clinic. And do us a favor if you would, please. She's so good. She's so good. Please tell your friends about the Dr. Nisha Jackson Show. Share it on YouTube or on iTunes, Apple Podcast Play, Radio Public, Google Play, iHeartRadio. It's all over the place. Facebook, Twitter. Share this show, subscribe, let people know about it, and please be a part of the family. We've got some things that we're going to be getting out to you sometime soon, so make sure you sign up and keep an eye on the program. So I'm Rusty Humphries, she's Dr. Nisha Jackson, and we'll see you next time here on The Nisha Jackson Show.